Hello, welcome to Go Ballistic, where we'll look back in the weekend's Premiership football and look ahead to a big European week in the Champions League, the Europa League and the Conference League. We will speak to our chief football writer, Robert Grieve, who's in Dortmund with Celtic. We'll speak to Robert Martin, who's in Baku, looking ahead to Hearts' game against Dinamo Minsk. And we'll also go to deepest, darkest Ayrshire to speak to Sun Sports' Kris Boyd as he looks ahead to Rangers' clash with Lyon at Ibrox on Thursday. Now, this is going to take me back to the summer, to the Euros. I'm crossing over to Germany to the chief football writer, Robert Grieve, who once again is sitting in a very nice outdoor German cafe in Dortmund this time. Big game tomorrow night, Robert.
Yeah, I can't say the weather's the same as it was in Germany in the summer, Roger. It's absolutely freezing here in Dortmund this morning. But yeah, looking forward to what's going to be a huge game, I think, for Celtic and Borussia Dortmund tomorrow night.
Now, with this new look 8-game group stage, they've already 3 points in the bag after battering Bratislava. They've games coming up against the likes of Zagreb, Club Brugge, Young Boys. Is this a free hit for Celtic tomorrow night?
I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a free hit. I wouldn't say that about any Celtic European game at all. But I think your point, I think Celtic's best chances of getting points in this campaign are going to be at home in their games at Celtic Park. So the fact that they get off to a great start against Slovan Bratislava, as you touched on there in the first game, puts Celtic in a very good position. I think they can go to Dortmund, or they're in Dortmund this afternoon for the game tomorrow night, and I think they can play pretty much with a handbrake off. You know, they can try and take the game to Dortmund to a certain extent and see where it gets them. But I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a free hit. I don't think Brendan Rodgers will look at any game like that in Europe with that attitude. But yeah, I do take your point. The pressure's off them, if you want to put it that way.
Now, you were in Perth Saturday night, you saw Celtic score 6. It could have been more than 6. You look at the Dortmund defence in a minute. I know they won on Friday night, but they were 2-0 down at home to Bochum before they rallied. And prior to that, they lost 5 to Stuttgart. Is there a chance for Celtic to get at them?
Yeah, I think so. I think very much so. As you say, Celtic are playing with so much attacking threat right now, from middle to front, midfield, and obviously an attack. They've been fantastic. The goals they scored against St Johnstone were phenomenal, I thought, the other day, albeit it was against a St Johnstone side that have been struggling, certainly defensively. But yeah, you're right. They can go into this game, they'll go into this game with a positive attitude. They'll maybe look at Dortmund and see a vulnerable side there. But that said, they're a top side still. You know, they didn't get to the final last season, but by accident, they're a top class side. But I think Brendan Rodgers will come here tomorrow night with the attitude that they can have a go at them. And I think with the attacking threat that Celtic have got right now, they should feel confident they can at least create chances.
You spoke to Liam Scales after that 6-0 win at McDiarmid Park. He was talking about Austin Trusty, who he played with at the weekend. You would expect it will be Trusty and Scales again. Cameron Carter-Vickers does seem to be toiling with this metatarsal injury. Is this a step up for Trusty, or do you trust him to be comfortable?
See what you did there, Roger. Yeah, listen, it's clearly going to be a step up, but I was actually really impressed with him on Saturday. I thought he coped with the game. He kind of breezed through the game, albeit, again, it was a St Johnstone side that didn't offer very much. It will be a step up from him, there's no doubt about that, but I think there was signs that there was a good understanding with Liam Scales. Scales actually touched on it, that Trusty played on the right, and Liam Scales played on the left, albeit he's a left-sided centre-back. But he seemed to cope very well with that. It's going to be a step up, absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt about that. This is the reason why you come to Celtic. That's the reason why he would have been excited at the prospect of joining the club. So I think he'll relish the opportunity. And as you say, it's going to be a great stage for the players. It's one of the things that Liam Scales touched on. This will be the biggest game he's played in terms of the size of the crowd. The attendance, 80-odd thousand, is going to be inside the ground. So these guys will relish that opportunity and look to step up and really perform.
The Dortmund coach, Nuri Sahin, Brendan Rodgers signed him as a player, signed him for Liverpool on loan from Real Madrid. Didn't quite work out for Sahin at Anfield, and he wasn't too complimentary about Brendan Rodgers when he left Liverpool. Will Brendan like to maybe get one back on him tomorrow night?
Yeah, there's an interesting dynamic there, isn't there? Brendan Rodgers actually spoke about him after the game in Perth at the weekend there, and he didn't really touch on the negative side of it. He just said he had him as a player. He thought he remembers him as being a top player who didn't quite make it at Liverpool for whatever reason. But you're right, there's a dynamic there that makes it quite interesting. I'm going to the press conference shortly, the British press conference this afternoon, and that's one of the things we'll probably be discussing with the Dortmund manager, just to find out the latest on that and how he feels about Brendan Rodgers. But yeah, he clearly went to Liverpool at that time when I think Arsenal were in for him, and I think he was almost kind of agreed to go to Arsenal, and Brendan Rodgers managed to persuade him to go to Anfield, and he never quite played. I don't think he felt as though he was played in the right position. I think even Jurgen Klopp was quite surprised, quite critical of Brendan Rodgers at the time for taking him at that time and not playing him in his right position. So yeah, interesting one that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the two managers look at it tomorrow night.
As an aside, back home here, St Johnstone, who you saw on Saturday night, still looking for a manager. By my reckoning, on Thursday it was Scott Brown, on Friday it was Peter Lever, on Saturday it was Tiernan Lynch, and on Sunday it was Simo Valakari. Whoever gets the job, Robert, you've seen them on Saturday night. It's a huge ask.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think the players themselves have to take responsibility. We spoke to Matt Smith after the game, and that was one of the things that he said, that regardless of who's in charge of the team, that the players have to step up more and really, as I say, take responsibility for what's going on there. It's a big job. It looked as though, as you say, they got their man, and for whatever reason, that's not materialised, and they're now going down a different route. But yeah, it's St Johnstone, a great club. They've had real success in the last recent years, but right now they're in the doldrums and they need a jolt, and that's something he'll be looking to bring in if he can do that in the coming weeks. But yeah, it's an interesting one. But as I say, Matt Smith and the players there, I think they have to look at themselves and kind of step up, regardless of who's in charge and who's sitting in the dugout.
Robert, that's great. The bad news is it does look very chilly, as you see in Dortmund this morning. The good news is you're not back in time for the coffee club on Wednesday, and I get the cakes. Now we can head over to our man with Hearts, Robert Martin. It's Dinamo Minsk against Hearts on Thursday evening. It's in neutral Baku in Azerbaijan. Can I just check, are you there yet, or are you still in Musselburgh?
As you might be able to tell from the view, I'm still in Musselburgh, Roger, but I'm travelling to Baku later today. No, I just got here, been here a couple of hours, so I'm just trying to get my bearings. Flame towers in the background looking resplendent.
Absolutely. Well, Hearts look resplendent on Thursday night. It's been a historically bad start to the season. Stephen A. Smith paid with his job. Liam Fox had to wait to the 96th minute to get an equaliser at home to Ross County at the weekend. They can't travel with a great deal of confidence in their luggage.
I think that goal could make a difference, though. I think if they were coming here on the back of 9 straight losses, it would have been an unhappier camp. But at least that goal's kind of giving them something to cling to. It's just kind of giving them a little bit of belief that they might be able to start turning the corner. I mean, the question is how a squad that could be so good last season, so consistent last season, has just basically fallen off a cliff this season in terms of performances, because the personnel really isn't that different. If you take Alec Cochrane out of the equation, nobody really queried the signings in the summer. They all thought they were decent signings. They thought the squad looked stronger. It does certainly appear to be imbalanced in terms of lack of attacking options up front if Lawrence Shankland's not scoring goals. But it is a mystery as to just kind of how badly they have started the season compared to what's gone before.
Does it help, Robert, the fact that it is a neutral ground? You know, if you were playing Minsk in Belarus, there would be a huge home support. The game's played behind closed doors. Does that make it a more of a level playing field for Hearts?
Possibly. I mean, the Hearts travelling support's been good in Europe, so I mean, they normally come in their numbers, and that might have helped them. But at the same time, Liam Fox, and we've spoken to a couple of players, I mean, they've also basically said it's like going back to COVID times. They've had experienced this before. It's not going to be anything new to them. Empty stadiums were kind of a regular thing a couple of years ago, so it's just kind of going to be going back to that. So I don't think it'll. Yeah, I mean, it could work in their favour. It could be Dinamo. I mean, I know they won at the weekend. They're second in the league at the moment. I mean, they might feel more out of their comfort zone than Hearts are, having to play as far away from their home turf as they are. So yeah, it could be. It could make a difference.
Is it almost a relief for Hearts to get away and play in a game like this? There'll be less pressure on them. It's almost a case that Aberdeen at Pittodrie on Sunday is going to be a more pressurised environment for them.
Possibly. I mean, I put it to Liam Fox on Friday that this essentially could be a fresh start for them. I mean, okay, they've done terrible in the league so far, but this is the start of a new Conference League campaign, the start of 6 games, home and away against different teams. I mean, if they can get off to a winning start here, that's 3 points in the group. And they've got 2 home games after that to build on against Heidenheim and I forget there's Ammonia. So yeah, I mean, they've got a chance to actually use this to get some momentum going, which is what they badly need just now.
And big picture, Liam Fox will take the team on Thursday evening.
Yep.
He'll take the team at Aberdeen on Sunday. We then have the international break. Andrew McKinley and those at Tynecastle will be working hard to get a new manager in. They're using this data, all the analytics. Does that widen the search? I mean, it's difficult to pinpoint at the minute who might be the next Hearts manager.
I don't think it'll be a Scot. That's my gut feeling. I don't think it'll be any name that you would maybe normally associate with the job at this time. I think they're going to go slightly left field. In terms of experience, in terms of youth, I don't quite know which model they're looking for. I think an experienced manager would be a good idea, given Stephen Naismith didn't work out when they tried the rookie approach. But given the analytics involved, given this possible Tony Bloom involvement as well, I mean, I expect someone to be a name that we're not already familiar with.
And you touched on the squad, you touched on the quality of the squad. They were third last season. They did bring in decent players in the summer. Whoever gets the job, it's a good job to get. It
is. There is still recruitment work to be done in January. I think, well, if Andrew McKinley said last week he expects Lawrence Shankland to see his contract out, there's going to have to be a succession plan in place for that. They're going to have to be looking at at least a couple of strikers in January. Right back's obviously a problem area, and that was before Gerard Taylor got injured. So they certainly need to address that as well. Obviously, Liam Fox bringing in the 19-year-old on Saturday. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's areas that need addressed, but the new manager will be able to come in, have a look at the squad before January and make up his mind about what he wants to do.
Robert, that's brilliant. I know you're dying to run up and down and get those steps and get your numbers up here today in Baku. We will hear from you later in the week on all the Scottish Sun Sport channels. Have a good trip.
Thanks, Roger. Appreciate it.
Well, we can now head to Sun Sports. Kris Boyd, you can see he's got his new jumper on Monday, but he had his crystal ball out on Friday, talking up Tom Lawrence in his Scottish Sun column. You said, I don't want to jinx anything with his injury record, but he's playing well, and he proved it again against Hibernian yesterday, Kris.
Yeah, he did, Roger. I thought, he was one of the bright sparks for me in the Rangers team because it was a pretty lacklustre performance, especially the second half. But the first half, that moment of magic, shall we say, from Lawrence. I mean, I think once he's allowed back in, I think it was Kwong allows him back into his right hand side, and you can see that side of the goal open up. There's only one outcome because, as I said, we've seen it before, even before he arrived in Scotland. He's a terrific striker of the ball, and just used it to bend it away in the far corner. It really was a top class finish. But I think Rangers overall will have Jack Butland to thank. Yes, it was a fantastic finish from Tom Lawrence, but you look back at the game, those two big saves, the one from Kwong and the penalty kick from Kukarevich, two big saves. People will say that's what he's paid to do, but I thought the way he got down to the left hand side to get that one away in the first half, and then obviously the penalty kick just before half time, because I mean Rangers the second half, I mean we've touched on it before as well, in terms of dominating a game and keeping control of a game and dominating your opponents, it just wasn't there. I've been critical of Hibs in the past, but I mean they deserve a lot of credit for the way they came and tried to force Rangers back. But they were just missing that little moment, in front of goal. And I think if David Gray looks back at it this morning, he might look at his substitutions and just think, did I really need to make them at the time when I did? There was a lot of pressure being put on Rangers' backline, and the subs, when they came on, they didn't really do anything. I thought Eli Yuhan was another disappointing performance for him. Gale come on and had the header, but you're looking more from you and Levitt as well. I felt as if they kind of lost a little bit of momentum there, McCurdy. But I mean, look, it's definitely a step in the right direction for Hibs in terms of going to a bigger stadium, shall we say, and putting up a fight, because we've seen it for, it's been a long time since they've went to Ibrox and won.
We've looked at Hearts and Kilmarnock and St Mirren complaining about the stresses physically of going Thursday, Sunday. Rangers have another 7 Sundays after Thursday night Europa League games. Will yesterday's performance concern Philippe Clement when you look at the schedule that's coming up, Kris?
I think, take the schedule out of it, Roger. I think what would concern me the most was the performance of some players. I think when Philippe Clement came in, we were speaking about in terms of making changes, being able to bring on, making 2 or 3 changes prior to the game starting before. He'd done that at the weekend, but he didn't get any reaction out of the players I thought that he brought in. I mean, I didn't see anything. The question is, and I don't know what the Rangers fans think, and we could maybe put it out after this. What has happened to Nico Raskin? He just looks a pale shadow of the player he was when he first arrived in Scotland. In terms of that tenacious tackling, getting after people, making things happen, he just doesn't look the same player for whatever reason. I think that there's a lot made out the Thursday Sunday, but Rangers got to, in my era, got to a UEFA Cup final playing Thursday Sunday. We took the league to the last day. We won the cups. You look at the Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, he was able to get a reaction from his team Thursday to Sunday. I just can't get the feeling that there's excuses. I touched on this a few weeks ago as well. Like, go and win the games of football and let your talking on the pitch. As I said, there was a lot of things yesterday from Philippe Clement again. After the game, it's a penalty kick. Every single person in football knows it's a penalty kick. I get what he's trying to say, but it's just...
With the exception of the Rangers manager, I was surprised he was getting himself into such a lather over a penalty in a game they've won.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think, you look at the Rangers managers in the past who have had success, they go about their business quiet, just like you're talking on the pitch. For me, looking at it right now, I don't like it. I've got to be honest, I just don't like it. I think that there's a time and a place where there's excuses there, but you've won the game of football. It's a difficult game off the back of Europe. I get that, but you've won the game. Move on. Start your preparations for Lyon. Picking fights. I just don't get it. I don't understand. And as I said, if you to flip it the other way, if Rangers weren't given a penalty kick at the other end, I would love to have seen Philippe Clement interview after it, because if that's what he's like when his team's won off the back of a decision, then I would like to see what they're like if they didn't get the 3 points. If a penalty was given against Rangers. So if his Rangers team didn't get a penalty kick for the same scenario. And then speaking about the scheduling was in Rangers' hands. If you'd have went and qualified for the Champions League, you'd have played Tuesday, Wednesday, then played Saturday or Sunday. You would have had that. That wasn't to be. So I said, again, it's just another excuse. I look at, for me, the cause for concern would be the level of performance from some of the players. And you can distract from what's going on the pitch with things like the press conference everybody's talking about. There was 4 or 5 players yesterday that if you're a Rangers manager, it would be concerning. It would be concerning. The drop-off from Thursday night to Sunday was alarming once again. And it's going back into the category of Rangers are never in control of a game of football. I think Thursday, very good. We've not obviously spoken since then, but very good on Thursday. And one of the best, in fact, the best performance of the season. But it was back to the same old ways on Sunday. But you've won the game. It's 6 clean sheets in 7. It's 4 in a row for Rangers. They must be doing something right. But I think if you are the Rangers manager, you'd be looking for a little bit more.
You cut Hamza Igamane a bit of slack. His first start yesterday, he'd shown off the bench a couple of times, but yeah, it just wasn't his day yesterday.
No, but I think that's the thing. When you come off the bench, you have a few, touches, and look, everybody at the time was, a few of my mates had been in touch. He looks a player and everything. You're like, well, coming on as a substitute and playing a few minutes and that, then it's fine. But once you start to play games of football, then you start to see what players are like. And look, it wasn't his day, and I think it's a difficult one for me to judge, because I made a career out of scoring goals for Rangers. I look at a lot of strikers nowadays, they seem to be focusing on everything else other than scoring goals. You've got players behind you that can create opportunity. You don't need to go dropping into midfield areas. How many times did Rangers get in the wide areas yesterday and you're thinking, fire, Igamane was at the 18-yard box. Get yourself in the box. go and score goals. Because at the end of the day, all this link-up play, your nice touches, will only take you so far, especially in a Rangers jersey. You need to be in the area to score goals. It was his first start, I get that. There'll be more to come from him, but if there was one little bit of advice, I would say get yourself in the area where you can affect the game, and that's by, if you are the main striker for Rangers and you're chosen ahead of Cyril Dessers, you need to get yourself in that 18-yard box and score goals.
You said there you made a career of scoring goals for Rangers. You made a career of scoring goals for Kilmarnock as well. I was at Rugby Park on Saturday. They managed to score 3, but they let 3 in at the other end. They're still looking for that first Premiership win of the season. Are you concerned at all?
I wouldn't say I'm concerned because I think Derek McInnes has got enough to experience. He's got enough good players. I think what would be concerning though is the amount of goals that Kilmarnock are losing, because that wasn't the case last year. Obviously, I think Stuart Finlay got off pretty early on, which it looked as if it was a calf injury. So I mean, you look at, there's little things that are not really going for Kilmarnock and Derek McInnes right now, but you look at the game and you're 3-1 up, just see it out. Saying that, I don't think it's a penalty kick. I really don't. I don't know how the referee, he's not in a position to call it. You look at the linesman as well, he's already caused them problems from the free kick previous to it. And then if the linesman's called the penalty kick as well, it's a difficult one. I don't think there was much contact, if any, and you can tell with players' reactions. And I don't think it was a penalty kick. You could see straight away that the Kilmarnock players were in shock. But you're looking at it from that point of view. Derek McInnes' team had a 3-1 lead. They've got to see it out. They've got to see that game out. But I mean, you'll know better than me. I mean, I've seen the highlights, I've seen the goals, but I've got to say, Roger, the finishes actually from David Watson were unbelievable. Yeah, I mean,
listen, he was left out of the team. He started
substitute.
He had a switcher for Mason at half time. He put him into the midfield. What a response! And he's getting to the stage now, a bit of Lennon Miller at Motherwell, Chris, where it's going to be increasingly difficult to leave David Watson at the team.
Yeah. What I mean, in Saturday, I mean, I know he gets his 2 goals, but what else did he bring to that? Second half, just the energy of getting in the box.
That's exactly it. It's an energy. It's a forward running. They matched up with the United's 3-5-2 second half, having started in a sort of 4-4-2. And you looked prior to the late collapse, they looked far better. They just looked, Kennedy one side, Armstrong and the other. They were getting balls into the box. Watson was running on to join Vassell and Watkins. They do look a better team when he's in it, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the things when David Watson arrived in the scene at first, and you thought there's something there's an energy about him. But I mean, whether it was Derek McInnes or where somebody said to David Watson, get yourself in the box and start scoring goals. I mean, there was that maybe like hanging off a little bit, and because of I'm a centre midfielder, but the more times you get in that box, the more chance you've got of scoring goals. I mean, his first finish is unbelievable. I mean, it is unbelievable. But I love the second one as well, Roger. Just that anticipate, because he's away on the right hand side when the move starts to develop. He's away out the picture, and then all of a sudden you just see him drifting into an area very difficult to mark. But once he gets in there, a lot of players once they get in there will slash at things, and it was just a calm side foot finish into the back of the net. It was, he tracked the ball all the way, tracked where it was going to go, and it just comes round the back of the midfielder. It was a really good finish, but. I mean, Kilmarnock, they do need to start winning games of football. But I'd imagine it'll be a 2-2 draw at the weekend. It always is when Dundee play Kilmarnock.
It certainly is. Listen, Chris, we'll speak to you through the week. We'll have your column in the paper on Saturday after Celtic, Rangers and Hearts have played in Europe. And we'll speak to you and go ballistic next Monday. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks very much for watching Go Ballistic. We'll be back on Wednesday with the Coffee Club. We'll be back on Friday with another Go Ballistic, looking ahead to the weekend's action with the bookie basher from Sunsport, Jim Delahunt. Remember, you can watch on all Sunsport channels. You can like and subscribe to the Scottish Sunsport YouTube channel. All the very best.